Friendship supreme. Friendship supreme. Finding the geek within.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael.
This is Cleve.
And welcome back to another episode of Friendship Supreme. We're the podcast that dares to ask, do you have what it takes to be a Disney princess? I think Cleve and I could be the next blockbuster hit. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Oh, never bother me anyway. We're here to talk about something that has been quite a popular topic amongst most people we talk to. And usually gets into some kind of heated argument. And that is what exactly defines a Disney princess and whether or not the princesses that are Disney princesses are princesses.
Sisses.
The other thing is like, and we'll kind of get into it, I guess, is that even being a Disney princess, are they still a princess? Like, can you be a Disney princess but not a princess? We've got the answers for you right here.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't know, there's actual rules that Disney goes by to be a Disney princess.
You have to start in at least one Studio Ghibli anime.
You have to be human or become human.
Really, the first rule is actually you just have to be a part of an animation film. The premiere... You have to be the primary role in an animated film.
What did you think it was?
I was joking. I was just being a smartass because you wrote anime and said we didn't know what that meant.
Oh, and then you decided to derail the whole podcast word.
Yeah, basically.
Because the audience knew that joke. Like...
There's a board back here because we had to write it. And Cleve shorthanded everything and I was just making fun of him. Sorry, guys. But yes, so you have to be the primary role in a animated film. You have to be human or become human like Ariel did.
You can't be the prime character in a sequel.
In other words, you can't have like your debut be a sequel. An example of that would be Ariel in The Little Mermaid 2. Her friend Melody is not a princess, or not a Disney princess, because she was introduced in the second film.
You have to be part of the royal family, married into the royal family, or be considered a hero.
Yep, any act of heroism could also get that for you. Does that mean that Jen Erso could be a princess?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I mean, we really.
Does anybody remember her though? Because nobody knew her name until
I just did.
What was the name like in history?
Oh, joke.
Do you think that Ray like knows about Jen?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
But like, I think that the act of heroism, I think they wrote into it specifically for characters like Mulan, but did not think about the fact that that can make a lot of people princesses.
Like Meg?
Like Meg. Well, did Meg act heroically though? Because the whole Hercules,
the devil.
Well, the Hercules redemption story though is him being redeemed and him doing something, a huge act of heroism, and sacrificing his life to go for her. But she kind of is a grade A dick, like half the film.
But okay, well then, is the gods not part of a royal family? Because if they're not, I don't know who is.
But he gives up that title and gives up being a demigod when he decides to be on Earth.
Right, but just because I denounced Moana, she denounced being a princess, but
she came back and accepted it because she realized that she didn't have to stay on the island to be the leader of her people, and that she could show her people other islands.
And Hercules gave up God, didn't give up. I mean, he was still a demigod.
No, he gave up being a demigod.
No, because he became a god. Remember?
Oh, and then I thought he gave up all his powers.
And then he said, "Well." My point is that he gave up the god, not the in-between.
You're correct. I do remember him becoming god, and then he glows, and then Michael Bolton's
he got
in the background doing a dance because he finally went the distance, and then...
A lot of times I went the distance.
Man, this is one of my favorite songs. I still hear it and get really pumped up. Yeah, so He technically is still the son of Zeus, so I guess in some form she's a princess.
I don't know. I disagree with Ariel. Anybody that can take a deal where the lady says, "All I need is your voice, and you can have this," I feel like should not be in charge of anything.
Agreed. And that she shouldn't be a ruler in any means, as at least of now. I mean, maybe she'll mature.
And she is one that might have been considered as giving up her royalty.
She's one that actually is a double threat. If you think about it, she's King Triton's daughter, so she's already born a princess, and then marries Prince Eric, who is a prince. So she's like double princess.
If I were the prince, what are they doing on that boat?
They were sailing somewhere.
You don't send the prince for that.
Yeah, he was enjoying life. Did we talk about the weird theory that the boat in the beginning that sank was actually Elsa and Anna's parents sailing to the wedding of Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, and then crashed in the middle of the Atlantic, and that's the boat that she's exploring in the beginning of the movie?
So then they're cousins?
That ties like 3 10-year, decade-separated films.
But it's another one of those things like to marvel to me. Like, did they plan that? Or did some fan make up something and they're like, yeah, we did that on purpose?
Oh, I'm absolutely positive that some fan was like, oh, let me tie these together, and then it just happened to work.
Yeah.
But that's now, like, accepted, like, yes, that is what happened.
Which is such crap. I hate when they get credit for something that they didn't really think of.
Well, it's like when Disney took on Star Wars, and everyone's like, okay, well, what happens to all these novels that all these writers kept writing? And they're like, oh, like, we like these parts, so we'll keep this. Everything else is garbage. We're getting rid of it. Like, so they just got to pick and choose what canon was real again. And they're like, we've brought this property, so this is real, and then none of you guys are real anymore.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, what you'll learn in this episode is that Disney is the overlord and gets to kind of control everything.
So I'm gonna say with that we are good with talking about the Disney character.
Yeah, I will tell you,
if we're gonna call Disney the overlord.
We're gonna start real quick with just a small disclaimer. If there is any young audience watching this episode, probably don't watch this episode, because we're going to talk a lot about the ins and outs of Disney as a corporation on the backside and what it's like to be a employee of Disney, and that could possibly ruin some of the magic for some of the younger people.
So, and I added some extra pops in here. We have a Jasmine pop, a Cinderella pop, and a Belle pop. But I also included Leia and Shuri.
Yes.
Because if you think about it now,
as acquisitioned properties, they both should be considered Disney
they are princesses owned by Disney Princess.
And so then this is where it comes down to an interesting distinction and why I kind of curious where we draw the line at. So a Disney princess is not the same as a princess within the Disney universe currently.
Mm-hmm.
So a Disney princess was a marketing scheme that came out in the 90s that was like a way to kind of push certain characters that were not necessarily as popular by lumping them in with other characters. So characters like Pocahontas and Tinkerbell, who were not nearly as popular, got grouped into the Disney princess group so that they could kind of be more easily and readily accepted as mainstays within the Disney universe. So the question becomes, a Disney princess that is a princess within the Disney universe can be a Disney princess, or a Disney princess has to have been a princess within the Disney universe. However, a princess within the Disney universe does not have to be a Disney princess.
And what sucks about that is I feel like if they follow the same rules, they still...
And I think that there's a lot to be said that I don't know that they still really adhere to that marketing scheme. I mean, how often do you refer to them as just a princess or a Disney princess? So, the biggest controversy, I think, there's two individuals within the Disney universe that I think are a huge controversy. I think that people are readily willing to accept Princess Leia and even Shuri as princesses within the Disney world. Like, I don't think they dispute that.
Yeah.
I think that, in fact, sorry guys, I've had something stuck in my throat for like the last 2 weeks.
Water.
I've drinking nothing but water for 3 weeks, Stephanie.
Maybe you should
It's
use
not
that
helping.
throat spray.
I should probably use throat spray. Did you use some of that?
No.
But I think that people are actually excited and celebrate the idea. Like, a lot of Star Wars fans are excited that Princess Leia became a Disney princess. Shuri is not as, like, because a lot of people didn't necessarily know the character, but I still think is one of those ones that when people realized, oh, what does this mean? It means she's a Disney princess. People were very excited about it. The two individuals that are not really accepted widely, this is the two controversial ones I would say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is Tinkerbell and Pocahontas.
Yeah, I strongly don't see what Tinkerbell brings to the table at all.
And so Tinkerbell had their own little marketing scheme for a while where she's now the Princess Fairy. Like, it's like they did this whole series where they had an animated series where of movies that came out, and she's essentially a Tinker Fairy who, for whatever reason, runs her department of fairies. I'm not going to pretend to know it. I think I've seen one of the movies and couldn't tell you what it was about. My sister was actually a huge fan of them. But would tell you that Tinkerbell's not a princess. I think that they made Tinkerbell a princess, A, because she was widely used in the parks. And I used the word widely a lot in this episode so far. Sorry, guys. And because she was not as marketable until she became a Disney princess. I don't think people were buying her stuff until all of a sudden she became a princess. And not only was she a princess, but she was a sassy one. Like, if you think about all the characters we had Cinderella, Aurora, Snow White, all these pleasant, very docile
Cookie cutters, yeah.
Yeah, and then you had Tinkerbell, who was Miss Sass. I throw fits. I do what I want. I temper tantrum, stuff like that. So it was just kind of a different character. But I'd be curious to hear what you have to think about Pocahontas, because I know for a long time you and I disagreed, but I think you actually are the one that brought me over to kind of agreeing with you on whether or not Pocahontas would be considered a princess.
Yeah, I think with her family and being the chief's daughter, I think that is among her people a level of royalty, where I think she gets her status from, if not being hero, because not all of the Disney princesses did anything heroic whatsoever.
Right.
Like, there are some that stepped in, but I mean, to throw a real rock at it, Jasmine, who is very well liked and well received in the animated movie, because I've not seen the live action one, didn't do anything super heroic. I think she might have tussled with Jafar one time towards the end of it.
Yeah, I think she's vocally stood up for herself against Jafar once.
What about, like, Aurora? She doesn't do anything. She sleeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, to Clee's point, I will tell you, I'm the only one out of all three of us that has seen the new Aladdin so far. I won't spoil anything, but I will tell you that they definitely did change it, and she is more heroic.
Which I think they're doing with a lot of them, is that they're trying to change the
narrative,
these helpless women into stronger characters, which is great, but just the core of the Disney princesses and these women as they were, I mean, yeah, Snow White did nothing. Cinderella...
Snow White was essentially a housewife for Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
Or stay-at-home mom, I guess, for Seven Dwarfs. Cinderella
caught a lucky break one day.
Slaved away and just kind of gave up on hoping anything could happen.
One day.
Yeah, it happened to sneak in our house one day and just look pretty enough for Prince Charming. And then you had Sleeping Beauty, who slept the entire time, and you had Prince Philip, who went and fought the dragon and took care of everything. I'm trying to think. So let's just list off the Disney princesses. So we have Disney princess wise. You have Belle, you have Cinderella, you have Aurora, you have Snow White, you have Rapunzel. I believe is now considered a Disney princess
Right.
through Tangled. Mulan, who is the only one that I believe is technically a Disney princess based on an act of heroism. Pocahontas. Merida, who is from Brave.
Mm-hmm.
Tiana. I feel like I'm missing someone.
Oh, we are.
Tiana.
Moana.
Moana.
Who did act of heroism?
She was also a princess, though. Like
Right.
Jasmine, which we talked about earlier.
Well, all of it's Belle, Rapunzel, Ariel, Tiana, Moana, Cinderella, Aurora, Merida, Pocahontas, Jasmine, Mulan, Snow White.
Okay. So one out of all of them was not ever married into royalty, and that would have been Mulan.
Or born from.
Or born into, yeah, right. So I think what it ends up coming down to really is the idea that what defines royalty? Like, what do we consider royalty? So this is the argument I used to have for people that talked about Pocahontas, because a lot of people, like I said, Pocahontas for whatever reason is a gripe that some people have. Most people say that she is not a princess. Based on act of heroism, she very well could be considered a princess, considering she saved her people and perhaps convinced the English to not invade or hurt her people. Although
one
we
of the
know
more
how history really went.
heroic of all of them.
When John Smith was about to be murdered by her dad, she threw herself on top of him to protect him. Self-sacrifice. That's an act of heroism. But that being said, she's the daughter of a chieftain, and at the time, if you think about it, the argument I used to use is that Jasmine is the daughter of a sultan. While yes, in other other cultures that is considered royalty, in an Anglo-Saxon mindset, what we consider royalty is king and queen. Mm-hmm. You think of the king and queen of England. You think of king and queen of Spain. Like, you think of kings and queens.
That title.
In fact, in Princess and the Frog, Prince Naveen comes in and marries Princess Tiana, and that's what makes her a princess. Prince Philip, Prince Charming, Prince Eric. Those are all the traditional princesses that end up marrying someone, and that's how they become a prince. Prince Adam was the other one I was forgetting. The only two that don't have, aside from Mulan, because again, Mulan is not... three then. Besides Mulan, who did an act of heroism, you have Moana, Pocahontas, and Jasmine, who are all not Anglo-Saxon traditional royalty families. You have Moana, who is the daughter of the island chieftain.
Mm-hmm.
You have Pocahontas, who is the daughter of the chieftain of her tribe. And you have Jasmine, who is the daughter of a sultan. None of those in a dictionary or by any other definition that I have found are considered to be princesses. However, we understand the hierarchy and the way that the royalty works, and are willing to accept that presumably you agree that the daughter of someone that is a leader of their people
yeah,
should be considered what we would think of as a princess, as the equivalent. If you disagree with us, let us know down in the comments. We will gladly converse with you.
and correct you.
Belle was kind of...
I would... Well, to be fair, she just fell in love with the Wolfman.
But she was willing to see him for who he really was instead of assuming who he was.
Right.
But she also was smart. She wasn't just ditzy,
right,
which I enjoyed. I don't know. Belle's an interesting one.
Yeah, because to me, she's a strong female character, yes. I mean, did she do tons to get the title? I feel like not really. Because you could be a shallow woman and marry a prince, no matter what he looked like,
She,
to become a princess.
in fairness, she did save all those poor individuals that were cursed and turned into furniture.
Yeah, but nobody cared about those people. Nobody knew they existed.
Chip knew. That's basically what you get from this episode.
I've summed it up on the last couple of seconds. Can we have Pepper Potts holding Mrs. Potts?
Absolutely. We can have lots of things, man. Whatever you need to make you happy. They both lost something, apparently. She lost all her children, and Pepper Potts lost her husband.
Yeah, but some people lose their children and don't care. Those are monsters. But
Jesus Christ.
if you think about it, Mrs. Potts is a monster. Why is nobody taking that child from her?
Does anybody ever, this is when, they're finishing the song, there's something there, and this is basically there's something there that wasn't there before, and that's the last part. Is Miss Potts says there's something there that wasn't there before, and then Chip goes, "What, Mama?" And she goes, "Don't worry, we'll tell you about it when you're older." Love? Like, that's what's supposed to be that song was about. Is that, oh, she loves him, and suddenly there's love, and now it's like, oh, we can't tell you, Chip. So what is it, a dick? That's it.
Michael just hit me in the face with that. That's what I'm saying. She's not shown them any love. That's why the other ones are dead. And she's like, I gotta hang on to this last cup. Because what's a tea set without a cup? Also, who cracked his head? Because he doesn't have a cracked skull when he becomes human.
It just comes out the form. Jesus Christ. This episode took us a dark turn.
He's actually like 37.
Man, this took such a dark turn.
So here's some fun. There's talk of adding Gamora and Captain Marvel
Okay, Gamora's
as a Disney princess.
dumb to me. She's
The
a
daughter
strong
of
character, but she's the daughter of Thanos, who was the ruler of none.
adopted.
Oh, so then I guess were her original parents, which I don't know that far back in her origin, is her original parents' royalty. I think that they just took her off the planet. I don't think they ever said...
Captain Marvel is absolutely not.
Correct. That makes no sense. There are other characters we could easily... Oh, thank you. Well, it's like, you could just put it on the ground.
I wanted you to be able to see. Yeah, Captain Marvel. I mean, at that point, I assume we're going off the act of heroism, and then that can be literally anyone.
Again, yeah, we're opening the door for
Mantis Disney princess.
Yeah.
Heard it here.
Talking animal.
She just jump on Thanos.
He never talked.
Yeah, the Flerken never talks.
Well, never talks, but it follows her around a lot. And tries to.
Technically, Peter Quill has Rocket follow him around a lot, but we're not fighting for Peter Quill to be a princess. For a fun side to this episode, or for kind of another part of it, we thought we'd talk about what it takes to be a Disney princess within the actual park.
Drum roll, please.
So if you want to be a cast member who is a entertainment cast member, which is someone that plays a character within the park, there are about 10 basic guidelines that you have to follow, with a bonus one at the end. The first one is an obvious one, I think, but you very much have to look like the character. If you are a face character, so you're not someone inside a costume, you have to have the features of that character. You cannot be blonde and asked to be Ariel. It's just not a thing. As long as it looks close enough.
Yeah, you have to go in knowing that's what they're saying.
One of the other ones is there are 5 days of character training. This is not actually just for princesses. This is a fun, exciting fact about this whole thing. If you're playing a character, you have to take 5 days where you study the film, you study the dance moves, the mannerisms, as well as the language and dialect, or in the ways that they speak. Number 3 is you have to actually do your own makeup. Fun story, I once ran into a cast member playing Ariel in the back of the back lot. She was smoking a cigarette and doing her makeup, and it was actually traumatizing for me and ruined the magic for me because I had before then not seen a Disney princess just
Smoke one.
smoking.
You never seen those?
smoking
You never seen those shirts?
I've
That they
seen
make
those
at the
shirts.
mall?
I've never seen it in real life. Number 4, you have to perfect the signature. There's actually a 5 to 8 hour course, I think it is, on signatures because you have to have the perfect signature and you sign all the time. Fun fact is once you're certified for that signature, you can actually sign it at any point in time. So if you move to a different role, like at a hotel, and you need to sign a birthday card for someone, you can sign it from whatever characters you're certified for. You cannot be over the age of 30. Sorry, Stephanie. Stephanie cannot be a princess.
I was ready to be Ariel.
I know.
33 is too old, lady. Sorry.
I'm not 33.
we're gonna have to remove the picture of her dressed as Ariel on the opening scene now that she's turned 30.
You need to leave it there because that's all she's got now.
You have to be able
I
to.
think I was exactly 30.
You have to be able to quote the movie from start to finish. Basically, again, goes back to you have to know your material well enough. Number 7, you have to master all the mannerisms. So people like Ariel who don't have a grasp on everything in the modern world, you kind of have to show that. Like it's
I feel like that's part of 2.
That
Probably.
was so much fun.
it's kind of I think it's
Just
tied
act
into
dumb?
two.
Isn't that fun?
Right? Yes, it's like if you go to a
You're like,
Renaissance fair and you
Thank
pull out
you.
your phone and people are like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's kind of the same as 2. 2 is that 5-day training is very intense. Number 9, you cannot have any visible tattoos. That feels like a pretty obvious one. Oh, 8. I forgot 8. Sorry. Number 8, you have to be between the height of 5 foot 4 inches and 5 foot 7 inches. You cannot be more. You cannot be less. And you can't wear shoes to change that because not all the princesses wear high heels or wedges.
So some of them got to run around barefoot like Bilbo Baggins?
No, they still wear flat, but most of the time they're flats.
Just
No.
saying Moana was barefoot.
I think some of them. No, none of them were. I don't think.
Moana has slippers on.
You know what? I think some of them
Wait,
do
no,
go
no,
out
Moana's.
barefoot.
I'm thinking
I think they go out
Pocahontas
barefoot.
is barefoot.
I think they go out barefoot, but I think they go out with like stockings on. Maybe. I was trying to think of what the last one I'd seen.
I'm sure they could make it to where there's like
Yeah,
a padding
I haven't
underneath.
seen them, but I'm trying to think of one. Most of the princesses I've seen are like at Epcot, and so that's like Snow White and
They
Ariel.
have shoes now that stick to the bottom of your feet, and that's all it is.
I guess it would just depend on whatever costume he decides, because there's a whole costuming department. But anyway, number 10, you can't sit while out on property. You must always smile on property, and you are not allowed to post any social media pictures of yourself in Disney costume. So no taking pictures of you as Princess Snow White,
Which is
drinking
funny
a frappe.
because I feel like can I not get a couple followers off of this? Can I tell anybody about my job? It's like the Secret Service.
Oh, you can't tell anybody. In fact, when you are a character, you are not ever that character. When you talk to someone, you are a friend of that character. So, like, if I was to, say, have been playing Baloo, I didn't. It was a dream. It never got to happen. They actually put someone in a wired hoop, which is crap, so big people can't have a job. But anyway, let's say I was Baloo, all in conversation, and they take it so seriously. And in fact, like, if Disney ever found out, I might get in trouble. They'd come after me and kill me. But anyway, for you guys, I'll divulge all the secrets. You are a friend of that character, so I would say, oh, I was a friend of Baloo once. And that is to tell you that I used to be Baloo. I've met many friends of Mickey, and every time I see them, I'm like, you played Mickey? And I'm concerned. So, there's that. It's always women. Always. Like, 90% of the people doing characters that aren't face charactered male, like Gaston or one of the princes, they're all female. I also once saw Peter Pan walking around shirtless. That was interesting. It was under the little tunnel. There's a whole tunnel system underneath Disney World. It's not actually underneath because technically it's the first floor. And if you go into Disney, if you ever feel like you're on an incline, it's because they're taking you over the first floor, and you're actually on the second floor. Also, a basketball hoop in Matterhorn. That's a real thing. But that's at Disneyland. One other fact about this that I've noticed I didn't find on any list that I've seen anywhere, but you have to, if you're going to be a character, you must be able to play 2 characters at least. So if you're going to be Ariel, you must be able to play another character, which then comes in handy, like Mickey, Minnie, stuff like that.
I was gonna say, I'll just be Chip and Dale. Done.
Fun.
So if you're Ariel though, you have red hair.
Right, that's what I was
What
saying.
other
So then you would
character
be a
are you?
masked character. You'd be like
Oh.
Chip and Dale or Mickey, Lilo, Stitch, any of those. Did you ever see the original costumes of the Disney characters from when Disneyland opened? So, fun fact, Disney paid some company to make these costumes and travel around the country doing ice capades with them. They used the same costumes the entire time. They didn't have money to fix them. By the time that they got to Disneyland for the opening, it was last second. Walt was like, hey, I need you here. Like, I know I told you not to be here, but I need you here. They all showed up, and there were holes cut into them, and like it was of nightmares. It was terrifying, but back then nobody cared.
That would have been fun.
But yeah, those are some of the facts you have to do to be a princess within Disney itself.
Yeah, take all that down, kids. If you even want to pretend to be, it's gonna take a lot.
I have to grow another inch and de-age by a year.
Good luck,
Yeah, so
Stephanie.
it's over.
Your life's pretty much over.
Dream dead. Not a lot of dreams are dead. You can be anything you want to be except a Disney princess. You old Catwoman.
You can't actually be Catwoman. Sorry.
You know, I don't know if I talked to you about that, but Six Flags will do that. They will put you. First of all, they're DC characters. They're set up by height, so you have to be that height to even be considered. And then they put you in the costume, take a picture of you, send it to DC Comics, and then it has to be approved before you can work as
I kind of like that though.
the characters. Yeah, I think it's cool, but it's just odd
Yeah.
and scary how serious it is.
They take it.
Like, please, I hope someone at DC Comics thinks that I look like this character so that I can sweat around for a couple hours.
Getting paid minimum wage.
Yeah.
But that's all we had to talk about as far as Disney princesses go. Let us know down in the comments below if you think Pocahontas is really a princess or not. If there's any other princesses you think that might not be princesses, or anybody that you think should be brought into the princess universe.
That's 3D.
Also, if you comment down below and let us know what character you think it would be fun to play as at Disney World or Disneyland.
Who would you like to play? Just
Blue. I really want. Well, I also thought Russell would be fun, but I'm too tall to play Russell. I kind of went on body type and just assumed that like there are certain characters I could play, and Blue is really one of the only ones. But I think it would be fun because he's jovial and happy and stuff. Like I like that kind of. That would have been so much fun for me. Winnie the Pooh would have been another one I played.
Yeah.
I like honey. He likes honey.
Winnie the Pooh would have been nice because then you could have had not wearing pants.
Let us know down below what characters you think would have been fun, and if you think that they should change the rule of 30 or older, you can't be a princess. If you guys like this episode, comment down below. Make sure to like the video, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you know when we post videos. We post at least one every Wednesday, and we're actually working on something special so that we can start bringing you more and more content. If you guys have not already checked us out on social media, we have every social media possible.
Yep.
All of them are Friendship Supreme.
Except for Twitter.
Twitter is Friendship Supreme without the eyes, because all eyes should be on these guys. I've been Michael.
This is Cleve. Bibbidi bobbidi boop.